Welcome everyone to our video on presentations, specifically creating value through our consultative presentation approach. So we'll discuss 3 different types of presentation strategies, and we'll discuss what we really want to focus in on our role play, understand some of the guidelines for creating such a presentation, how we can add value, and finally how we can be more persuasive. So what are the elements of a good persuasive presentation strategy? Let's take a look at where we are in the big picture of things. So we've discussed the approach, we've established the relationship, we've also understood how to ask questions for needs discovery. Now our focus in this video will be the presentation of the sales process. Later on we'll discuss negotiation and close. So strategies for an effective satisfaction presentation. Again, reminder, the purple area, that is where we've asked those questions. We should now have enough information to be able to start selecting the solution for our guest, for our client. So the blue area is really where you're going to be doing your homework and trying to understand what is the best solution for a client. And the need satisfaction presentation, this is the actual sales presentation. And this is when you have the opportunity to present that information. So there are 3 types of presentations. So we'll just quickly discuss each 3, and then we'll discuss what's going to be really relevant for our own presentation. So first is the select information presentation. So this is really an emphasis on factual information from a technical standpoint. This is helpful if we want to identify types of meeting spaces that we have, maybe some sales literature, maybe some testimonials from previous meeting planners, what they've said. Okay, so this is a great way to really show the technical opportunity that we have to solve the customer's challenge for the meeting that they are desiring. Next is a persuasive presentation. So a persuasive presentation is really about influencing the prospective beliefs and attitudes of the buyer, perhaps their behavior, and really trying to encourage them to take action, take buyer action. So this presentation includes a subtle transition from that dialogue that we've already had, that we've already established, but now we're trying to put an emphasis emotionally, trying to make them look into creating some sort of action. So we're really just trying to motivate our buyer into doing something that they would like to do, which is obviously book our sales meeting and event with us. But remember, this is a voluntary process. We're not trying to manipulate or compel them in any way. We just want to shift their perspective. And then finally, we have reminder presentations. Now, this is often used when you have existing clients and you just want to remind them of the value that you've been adding. Also an opportunity to show your appreciation for them as clients. This is very important if you want to keep your clients top of mind when they're making their decisions. So it's really considered sometimes a reinforcement presentation just to maintain that market share. If you have existing clients, they've been coming year over year. But again, you just want to have that reminder presentation and maybe even let them know of some new options, or even let them know, hey, you know what, we've renovated. I don't know if you've noticed. So just help them understand that they're continually getting that value. Okay, so that's the reminder. But really, for our focus is going to be on these 2 types of presentations. And when you're actually doing your sales presentation, again, because we're establishing a new relationship, they're booking with us perhaps for the first time. We want to give them a good blend of information versus persuasive. Okay, so finding a good balance between these 2 is very helpful, and that's the type of expectation that we should be able to see in your sales presentation. So again, just some more background understanding. Again, that purple area, the strategic planning, that is the homework. That's going to be the preparation for your presentation. And then in the actions taken presentation, that's your physical presentation that you will be actually executing. That's your delivery for your role play, the final role play. Okay? And again, you'll be making sure that we go through those steps. So these are good guidelines that you should make sure you hit on. And we'll talk specifically about a few of these. And of course, we'll discuss more about negotiations in a later video. So how do we create a valuable presentation, right? Of course, this is how we don't create a valuable presentation. which is a canned presentation. This is what we don't want to do, right? Remember, we have done all this additional or preparation in terms of establishing the relationship with the customer, understanding their buyer conditions, having that process so that we don't have to present a generic or canned presentation, because this will just ignore the unique needs of the customer. We don't want to do that, right? We want something very customized, personalized, and specific to the customer needs of that guest. And again, this is why we've gone through this whole process. And this is what we've been working towards since you've been hired in the Park Shores team. So what does that look like in terms of details? There are some guidelines, but here just to bring your attention to these. When we're doing the PowerPoint, take a look at it maybe point by point. So you'll start off with perhaps a summary of the buying conditions, right? There should be about 6 buying conditions for each scenario. And then we want to actually break up each buying condition in terms of what the buying condition is. So that's what we discussed in page 2. And of course, we always want to confirm whether or not that is in case the buying condition. So don't forget that this will always be a dialogue. Even in the presentation, we want to make sure that the customer is along. They're contributing to the confirmation. And then page 3 is an opportunity to really sell how we can satisfy that solution, that buying condition. And this can be an opportunity to perhaps add some visuals, maybe some proof devices, maybe a testimonial. But again, really focus in on those benefits. We've been talking about that. Take a look at your buying condition. Take a look or figure out what you can use as a proof device to show that we can satisfy that buying condition. So in this case, we're talking about a number of rooms. So why not show the actual rooms? What a great way as a proof device, right? And again, don't forget about our own hotel. It's been remodeled. So that's something we can talk about. But more importantly, how does that help the customer? So that's what they're going to appreciate. That's what they're going to enjoy. And finally, we want to confirm, is this something that is what you wanted? Is this what you had in mind? So really, this is the step-by-step process in how we can create an effective presentation. But don't forget, this takes a lot of work in order to understand what the buying conditions are. You also have to understand your own hotel, so that's which proof devices we can use and the feature and benefits. And this is what we really call the FBR approach. This is the feature benefit reaction. So what we're doing is we're stating the feature, we're stating the benefit, and then the reaction is making sure that the customer, the guest, or the prospective client has an opportunity to react in a positive, confirmative manner that shows that they are on board with what we're offering them. Okay? So reminder, an effective sales presentation involves showing the prospect how the product can fill that specific need, that specific buying condition. And that's what this planning form is going to help us do. We have a demonstration worksheet. This is an opportunity to actually demonstrate how we can use our feature benefit approach. For instance, if we're actually talking about a meeting room, why don't we use the floor plan? Why don't we show the floor plan? And then we can talk about the benefit to that floor plan. And another opportunity would be to actually give them a tour. Maybe that's something you can offer or invite them. So imagine how effective that can be. Obviously, if we had the opportunity, we could even invite them to the hotel and create this sales presentation. That's something that is very common that will be done when we're trying to book or trying to create a sales presentation, is have them actually experience that floor plan or experience those rooms that they will be having the event in. But that's really what we mean by the FBR approach. Make sure that you are really specific to each buying condition and have the appropriate resources to help them achieve and understand that solution. What I also want to talk about is the information aspect of it. So when we talk about an information presentation, again, we will have some technical details, but obviously when you look at something like this, it's not exactly what you want to present to the client. Okay, so find a way to present these figures that are a little more presentable. Okay, but most importantly too, we don't want to spend too much time on the information. We don't want to overshadow the persuasive aspect of your presentation. But it is important to definitely have these figures because it's going to be very challenging to show the value of our establishment, of our offering, if we don't have at least the price, understanding the details of the event. That shows that you're prepared. And we'll talk a little bit more about price when we discuss handling objections. Will be shown in a later video. But Just a reminder on technical versus persuasive. Again, we want to find a balance, but we really want to maybe focus a little more on persuasive. But when we understand what we mean, the difference, it's helpful to be able to identify. So what we mean by technical communication, again, it's information on that numbers, those figures. But remember, it's also important that we talk about the persuasives. And the technical might be helpful if we didn't have an established relationship, but we spent that time investing in that established relationship. So always think also about the persuasive, okay? Make it personal to them. Make it emotional if you can. Very helpful if you can add some stories. This is where the creativity in your presentation will be evaluated. Are you using a story or a metaphor or some sort of testimonial to help you persuade the customer or the guest that you can provide that solution for them? That's important in terms of persuasion. Don't forget to have that personal or persuasive component. We were known for our views, but really most important, we were known for our incredible food and service. We often had weddings at our restaurant, and this happened on the weekends, a very popular event. And again, we had a very strong reputation, so you can imagine the expectations that we had. And we never wanted to compromise on the delivery of the quality, particularly in the food. But one wedding, we came up on a little bit of a challenge. During the wedding, a lot of the guests ordered the strip loin steak, grilled strip, and our grills weren't working. So what did we end up doing? We could have easily maybe seared them on a pan, but we didn't really want to cut any corners. So what did we do is we actually took all of our steaks, we took them down the 54 floors, and we walked over to our sister restaurant, which is a couple blocks away. We opened up that restaurant because they were actually closed on the Sunday. And then we grilled all of the steaks and we walked them all the way back to the wedding. And we did all of this without interrupting the bride and the groom's special day. Okay, so why am I telling you this story? It's because no matter what obstacle we had, we were always ensuring that we would deliver on our promise, making sure we knew that the food quality is important to you. And in this case, we understand you have a charity dinner. We understand that you would benefit from that commitment, making sure we did not compromise on that promise. So why am I telling you that story? This is an example of a story that can help you sell your commitment to food quality, your commitment to providing a service that is unique for any other establishment. So that's just an example of a story that we can use. But again, you can use testimonials, metaphors, anything that's a little bit creative, maybe even helping you share your experience and how you can add value to the guests or even provide them with confidence. Now, ideally, if you can link that story to some of the problems or the challenges that you've uncovered during your spin questions, that would really add value as well. Again, just some quick reminders. Don't forget to have some sort of emphasis on the relationship, some sort of emotional link. In terms of where you place that story or that persuasive element, sometimes you might want to start with it or end with it. Usually that's when we would add something like that. Again, discuss the benefits, right? What benefit is it to them? So in that case, I was really emphasizing the benefit to that charity dinner. If you remember from our ongoing example, that was something they really wanted to make sure is having excellent food quality. And that story can help them feel confident that would happen. Now, persuasive vocabulary is also very important. And this is based off of research. There's actually some words that are very effective. Now, think about being personal. So using the word you can help be persuasive. Advantage, new. These are things that customers or guests want to hear. Of course, can't forget about the benefits. So these are all very helpful vocabulary. Be sure to include them so that you can add value and make sure that your presentation is, in fact, persuasive. And finally, a nice little recap here of the sales presentation, what you can include. We haven't discussed negotiating and closing yet, but we will definitely get through it. So again, just sort of an overview, and just so you understand all of the components that we've been working towards and how it helps us develop an effective sales presentation. And this is what we really want to see, is that big picture strategy coming together and showing how we can add value overall to our effective sales presentation. That's our video on effective sales presentation review. I should have some understanding of how to achieve these learning objectives, and we'll discuss further. Thanks for watching, and keep on connecting.